David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another ink review. Today I have for you a fairly new ink from the Indian brand Krishna, and that would be the first ink in their new Urban series. They planned for the Urban series to be a set of inks inspired by the glorious colors of the peacock, with this first release called Peacock Blue. As I mentioned, Krishna is based out of India and is the brainchild of Dr. Neethu Srikumar. Dr. Srikumar is an anesthesiologist at a hospital in the Kerala region of India, which is on the western coast of India's southern tip, on the shores of the Arabian Sea. When the doctor was younger, he would grind and turn pens and studied under other experienced craftsmen. He still turned pens from time to time, mainly he lacquers ebonite pens, and he has a very long waiting list. But in 2010, he began making fountain pen ink. And while he has a team of folks to help with the logistical side of the business, it's my understanding that the process of creating Krishna inks is done by the doctor himself. Okay, in order to take a look at this Peacock Blue, please join me over here at camera 2. So this is what the box looks like. Nice drawing on the front. Krishna fountain pens. It's a 30 milliliter bottle. But what's cool is when you open this up, it kind of all opens up like this. Let me go ahead and take this out. This is just some little information about the company itself. But when you open this up, it kind of presents itself here. And I really like the motif of the peacock feathers here in the box and how the bottle itself is shaped like a peacock feather. Let's go ahead and get that out of here and out of the way. And here we have the bottle. And like I said, it's kind of a cool shaped bottle. It looks just like a peacock feather. This is what the color looks like. It's a nice saturated, vibrant blue. In regard to some other comparisons, this is what it looks like with Private Reserve Tropical Blue. This is with another release of Krishna's, which is the S-Series Pakaza, which is kind of more of a deeper blue with more sheening and shading to it. Here it is with Pilot Aroshizuku Konpeki. Here it is with Visconti Blue. And then just as a comparison, here it is with Papier Plume's Peacock Blue. This is what it looks like on some Tomoe River paper, the 52 gram. This is a heavier application, and it did get a little bit of sheening on the heavier application. And then this right here is a Q-tip application. And then here is some drips. Now, while there is a bit of sheening here, or a high amount of sheen, I wouldn't necessarily categorize this as a sheening ink. When you lay down a lot of ink like this, you're going to kind of bring out some properties that you don't normally see. So while there's some sheening here, like I said, I wouldn't necessarily categorize this as a sheening ink. Okay, here we go with Krishna Peacock Blue. This is using Rhodia 80 gram paper. You can see here that it's a nice saturated blue. I'd say the ghosting and bleed is medium. On the underside here, you can see that on the heavy application, there was a little bit of bleed through. On some of the writing, there are some very, very tiny spots. So that's why I said medium as opposed to low. I'd say the shading was medium as well. And as I explained earlier, the sheen is low in addition to that. In regard to the pens, I thought that I would use 3 pens from Pilot. One of these days, I need to get around to doing an overview of the Pilot line. I'm not a completist when it comes to my collection, but I believe that I have every model in the Custom and Custom Heritage line, so I should do an overview of that complete line. But I thought I'd show you 3 of them here today. And the first one is the Custom Heritage 92, which is a really nice demonstrator. So we have the Pilot Custom Heritage. '92. And this one is a fine medium. Then next up, we have a pen that has one of my favorite nibs in my entire collection, which is the Pilot Custom 845. So this is not a Custom Heritage, this is just a custom. And this would be the Pilot Custom Custom 845, and this one is a medium nib. It's very soft. It's one of the softest pens or softest nibs in my collection. And next up, we have a pen with one of the more unique nibs in Pilot's lineup, which is the Falcon. The nib itself just has a different look to it than any other Pilot nib. And this one here, we have the Pilot, and this is the Falcon. And this is what they are considering a soft medium nib. And you can actually get a lot of line variation out of this standard nib, as you can see here. In regard to some writing samples with the Pilot Custom Heritage 92, I said Krishna Peacock Blue is 98% dye-based and 2% pigment-based. So it's not overly pigment-based, and so I haven't experienced any issues with it in demonstrators or clogging up feeds or anything like that. Next up, for the 845, I said Krishna handled the situation well when an issue was discovered with a unique bottle for a previous release. I mentioned the Packaza ink earlier. This is what the Packaza bottle looks like. Basically what happened was Krishna commissioned a company to basically get them this bottle, and when they provided them this bottle, that Krishna felt that it was a unique design, and come to find out it wasn't. So they were misled. And so they had to go through some legal wranglings, and they basically handled the situation very well when presented with something that was very difficult, and ended up finding a solution that was amicable to all parties and was still able to come out with this very cool ink bottle. If you look for Krishna on my channel, you'll be able to see a review of this. It has some very unique properties, and the bottle is very cool as well. And finally, with the Falcon, I said Krishna Peacock Blue is a lubricated ink which behaves well in a variety of pens. You know, let me do a few more little swirls. Just using the Falcon nib is a lot of fun. I don't know why I haven't yet. The Falcon is a pen I just have not yet reviewed, and I've had it forever in my collection, but I think it's one that I need to get around to reviewing sooner rather than later. In regard to some additional details, I'd say the flow is medium to high. The lubrication does work well in here. In regard to drying time, I'd say that on the fine medium, it's between 10 and 15 seconds. And then for the medium, it was more between 15 and 30. Let's go ahead and take a look at a water sample here. Now, it doesn't profess to be a waterproof test, but let's take a look at that. And while that is saturating for a second, let's take a look at some chromatography. Taking a look at this chromatography is always fun. I like seeing how the colors separate out in this chromatography sample. In this particular case, you can see that it's pretty much mostly blue, that it's not a combination of colors. This is what the chromatography ended up looking like. You can see here there's some lighter blues, and then for the most part, it's just a saturated blue. And in regard to the water test, as I mentioned, it doesn't profess to be waterproof, and it pretty much doesn't hold up to that regard. So I wouldn't claim that it's waterproof. And then finally here, I said that Krishna Peacock Blue is a nicely saturated ink. It is available through the Krishna site for $16. It is one of their pricier inks. Most of their inks are in that kind of $9 to $10 range. But overall, I feel that it's a quality offering. So there we have the Krishna Peacock Blue. As I mentioned, this is the first in their Urban series, and I'm looking forward to seeing what other peacock-inspired colors they come out with. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.